Hey, Will, welcome, man.
Hey,
Are you on
sorry,
are you on
on the
vacation
road.
still?
Sort of. I'm sort of stuck in Durango waiting to close on an investment property, essentially. A lot of
Okay.
delays in this market. Yeah.
All right. Well, you obviously missed the first little bit, but no problem. Um, the recording I'll have up, later on today in the Facebook group so that you guys can jump back in and catch what you missed. So the we're moving on now. We're to the fourth general value driver, which I'm calling speed of cash. So this is reflective of not just the cash flow in your business, but also the profitability and the impact that that has on the value of your company. It seems pretty simple and straightforward, but the more cash a buyer has to inject into your company when they buy it, the less they're going to want to pay you. The less cash they have to inject, the more they're going to pay you. As an example, I have a client who's selling this Friday, $4 million sale. So small business, but one of the terms that's it's a business that's a municipal airport. So that means the municipality controls the deal. The municipality owns the land. They dictate the terms of the lease, which include business driver improvements that they say you have to do. So this guy is selling, but the current lease that he has, which he's a couple years into, calls for $1 million of capital improvement for him. Well, the new buyer doesn't want to be beholden to that $1 million. So they had to renegotiate with the municipality to get to the point where they said, listen, we have a different game plan than that. But that $1 million per the terms of this deal is due like in next month. And if you're going to hold us to the terms of that lease, then they're not going to be able to pay this guy the $4 million, which might kill the deal. So this stuff rears its ugly head lots of different ways. But think about if your business is constantly short on cash, that you feel like you're always robbing Peter to pay Paul. Now, if you're reinvesting, you have good profit, good cash flow, and you just keep reinvesting it, then that's one thing. But if you're finding that you've got these ebbs and flows and valleys and peaks of the cash flow and how much money you have to actually pay the bills, then that's where this starts to show up as an issue. And it's a value driver because it's an indicator of other things inside of your business. Are we pricing correctly? Are the terms of the way that I set up my business, am I doing that in the best possible way? The goal, as you can see, is to create a business that accumulates cash as it grows. Can you get customers to pay you sooner? Can you lengthen out the time it takes to pay expenses? Obviously, that would maximize profitability, put more cash in the bank. That makes it what I call the sleep at night money. Everybody's a little bit different on how much cash needs to be in the bank, as it were, to feel comfortable when you go to bed at night. Also makes it a lot more fun to run. And, if we're not there, can we adjust our pricing accordingly? We'll do a real quick exercise here for you guys, just quick brainstorm on, are there different ways that you could potentially speed up cash into your business? Depending on, for some of you, this might be more applicable than others. If you bill in installments, could you charge a bigger number up front? Could you create some type of subscription model where you bill before they receive the benefits? So in other words, you get the money first and then you deliver on the product or service. If you sell a service, could you do more to productize your offer to make it easier to charge up front? So productize, can you bundle different services that you do together into a package? Together, those, I'll just make up a number, 3 services as a package bundled are more valuable to somebody than if I bought them individually. And therefore I could charge differently for it, perhaps even upfront as opposed to hourly. If you are a company that has an inventory, is there a way that you could manage that better? so that you reduce the amount of inventory that you're paying for before you need it. It's a big one there. Could you increase your prices? I had a client who was operating at a loss for many years. And then when we really went deep and understood her cost of goods sold and her pricing and how that impacted her pricing, she had key relationships, marquee name businesses that she was selling on their e-commerce sites. And the rev share model was making her lose money every time she made a sale. And she didn't know it until she really understood her pricing model. How did she know she had a problem? She was constantly having to put cash into this business. And could you lengthen out the time it takes you to pay some vendors? So just take a few minutes here and do a quick brainstorm on what are the different ways that you think in your business you could speed up getting cash into the bank. Still see a bunch of heads down. You guys want another minute or so? All right. What have you guys come up with?
I can go.
Yeah, Will, go ahead.
Yeah. So I've got a consulting firm. And so, you know, a lot of the way we make revenue is based off of hours of work, what we're doing. Right. And so a lot of times we got to do the work and then bill and then actualize. And so like a new consultant coming in or even the cash flow for the business, you know, we're spending before we're actualizing revenue. And so something that I recently did was I started converting some of my freelance consultants to full-time employees. Mm-hmm. So I have it in more monthly overhead and it's a lot cheaper than doing a 50% rev split and paying out those COGS once we get paid, and reduces my COGS like by a huge amount is what I found. So I started converting some of those people. And then what we started to do is to upfront bill and do like blocks of hours on a retainer with hour caps. And so we charge it upfront, then they do the work. And anytime they go outside of caps, we charge at the end of the month then, so that we can get that cash flow. And then another thing we did for clients who like they had budget just for this year and they wanted to utilize it all instead of do it monthly, we are now offering, we'll allow you to pay all the upfront retainers all at once, and you get a small discount for doing that. And so now we're collecting, you know, a full 6 months worth of consulting fees up front before we're even delivering the work. And that's really helped with cash flow. It's really helped us with consistency to be able to hire people full time and know we have the cash flow to do that, thus also lowering the COGS. So that's been some of the ways that I've been trying to drive value and get more cash in the bank.
Yeah, that's awesome, Will. I listened to a podcast a month or two ago where it was a marketing firm, and they basically did their own version of that, where they instead of doing hourly, they were like digital marketing. And so they had come from the world where everybody did an hourly, you know, kind of thing. And they found their own way to productize what you're calling kind of upfront, you know, pricing, where they came up with a way to package it, call it a name that was relevant to their business model, not just a cutesy, you know, thing. And they end up selling those blocks of time that the customer would buy that. It also made it easier for their account managers to upsell, because it was just, you know, it wasn't like, well, let me get you another quote about this many more hours to do something. It was like, okay, we're going to need a few more of these credits or whatever they called it.
Yeah, we did like content support retainer. Like, we could give you a content strategist to just do all the copy for that campaign for the next 3 months at a low monthly cost. And that we've been able to upsell and then keep clients longer because of that, because they don't feel like it's this, this unknown expense. They know exactly what it is and what they're getting in perpetuity, and it's cheaper than hiring someone internally to do it. So they just keep it running.
Yeah, I love it. And that also on the flip side that's super attractive to somebody else who's thinking about coming in and buying you, that, all right, they figured out how to get off of the time and hours, treadmill in a way that is good from a cash basis on the business, but also it's stickier. The clients seem to like it, and it's easier for the team to communicate and upsell when we need to do more work. Everything doesn't seem like it's another custom job, another custom quote. It's just a continuation of, the product or process we already have running, which is, super attractive for somebody who wants to come in and think about buying you in the future.
Yeah, like a service subscription model, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So, Greg, we have that. We actually, just like this other digital marketing agency you just shared their story, we have absolutely the same model. We typically present 3 different packages, and the client can choose steady growth, acceleration, or full speed packages. Now, on the flip side, the problem with that is we're leaving some money on the table. So clients tend to feel like this is an all-inclusive package. So it's
scope creep
harder, right? It's getting harder to say no, and we're doing a lot of freebies for our clients. So we gotta like something I wrote on my list is tell them up front, like this is gonna cost you extra. So not included in your package.
That's what we do. So we'll do the subscription model, but we'll cap. So if you go outside of this certain thing, like if you then it's this hourly rate. So so that they're paying for their own scope creep.
Right.
Yeah. The way that the company, I don't remember the exact details, but the one that I listened to on the podcast is they came up with a kind of an a la carte menu of credits, and they understood the amount of time it took them. So that was factored into their pricing. And so based on your needs, like you have so many credits for X dollars a month, this month you might have a different business need. So, I need this many organic posts, or I need this many, pay-per-click ads figured out, or whatever it was. They figured out the metrics underneath there so that it wasn't all inclusive. They said, okay, you've got credits, and this is how the credits break down. onto
Right.
different types of service.
The company you're talking about is most likely Marketing 360. Does that sound familiar?
Sounds familiar, but I can't remember.
They're also got a business name Madwire, I think. They're called Madwire, but they're known for Marketing 360.
They were just recent. The one I'm talking about was just recently purchased.
Oh, okay.
They sold. That was the reason they're on the podcast. They were talking about the benefit of solving these problems, to how it applied to their ability to, find the right offer that worked for them.
Okay.
So it may have,
did you listen on Build to Sell?
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta find that.
Yeah. Check it out. It'll be great. And if you can't find it, ping me. I'll figure out which one it was.
Appreciate it.
Who else is solving the cash in their business creatively?
This is something we're actively working on because it's kind of a big problem right now. I've been working with Greg a little bit on it and our advisor. We're actually going to switch up all our services, simplify some things, and keep the price on these simplified services the same, and then take our existing services, which are really complex and really in depth, and add a additional fee to those ones. So if you want the same price, you can go with the simpler version, which most people kind of want anyways. And if you want to have this really high-end custom service, you can pay this extra fee. And that way we can kind of raise our prices without raising our prices a little bit. So that's kind of what our plan is for this year.
Yeah, it sounds like you're giving some bundles.
Mm-hmm.
You're figuring out how to bundle your service offering into buckets that make sense for you financially.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'd also explore some of the things that Will and Ivan are talking about, which is how do I incentivize people to give me more money now?
Yeah, all our customers pay up front, so that's never been an issue. But it does cause some issues, I will say, because you maintain that retainer, that actually goes on your balance sheet as a loss, or not as a loss, but as almost a debt. And so that can be something to consider, at least in regards to that, because you owe that money to somebody. If
you have to deliver on the service.
Right. And we allow people to pay up front for the full year. And so, we have a lot of people who haven't placed their orders yet. So that is money that we owe them.
Yep.
One thing that was really good for us was actually moving to automated ACH payments. It used to be automated credit card.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't sound major,
you net a little bit more, don't you?
ACH. Oh, geez. Instead of like 3% for all the transactions overhead, we moved to 25 cents per transaction. And it's so much cleaner, regardless of the size.
Yeah. And it's, sometimes people's credit cards, they don't manage them as tightly as they want. And, if they're bumping up against a limit, then you have to get them to, deal with that. So versus having an ACH, usually that solves those types of problems, unless the business is really running thin.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, let's